like the sun, fall in the ocean. Sometimes we lose, sometimes we win, 'cause we're only human. The ghost of our past is chasing, trying to stop us. The sound of our souls connected is nothing but one love. So don't give up tonight. Just keep living your life, afraid of being alone. Rise like the sun, fall in the ocean. Sometimes we lose, sometimes we win, 'cause we're only human. The ghost of our past is chasing, trying to stop us. The sound of our souls connected is nothing but one love. So don't give up tonight. Just keep living your life, afraid of being alone.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sim Racing Alliance. We are here with Season 10 and Round 1. Boogity, let's go racing. That's the green flag jobs. Looking maybe even full wide.
They're fanning out. There's a bit of contact. He's got the outside.
Side. That's a great move. He's got plenty of speed in there and he's being held up.
He's going to have a better run. Yeah, it's going to stick it on the outside.
That's a late move. 296 Ferrari, though, finds a space.
Oh, he didn't have it.
We're on the way for SRA.
Welcome back, everyone, to Sim Racing Alliance Twitch channel. Here today, a very, very wet Texas Circuit of the Americas today for, I believe this is, round 7, Sam, of the GT3 Team Series here on Sim Racing Alliance. And, of course, me and you had one hell of a cast last week for the Nordschleife. The drivers really surprised us at Nords. I thought that it was one heck of a time for 55 minutes and change. Fire Case and Selena Boonstra, of course, coming out on top in gold and silver, respectively. Huge congratulations to them. But, Sam, we had a fantastic race. How do we think Coda's going to go this week?
Well, we've certainly seen that this group specifically can have a lot of close battles all over the track. So with what I saw yesterday in my own race, this actually does lend to a lot of close battles, even in the rain, which is surprising. So I think that's what we're going to see, is we're going to see a lot of people swapping positions as they mess up slightly here and there at the end of, say, a long straight or in certain turns. And then pit stop strategy will come in big, because getting a little bit of clear air will be a very important detail here because of all the spray. So I think we'll see everyone kind of clump together, then spread out, and in the end you'll have some really interesting, shall we say, battles going down to the last second.
And of course, 60 minutes of racing here today at Circuit of the Americas, location Texas in the United States, and this is a 3.792 mile track, 20 corners around it. Notably, as Coda is obviously everybody's favorite track, didn't know that this track did not have corner names, as I have not casted a race here before, so we do have corner numbers, no corner names. That's a bit weird, and I'm sure that Alexa will be all over that in the D6 stream, or sorry, D3 stream that they're doing over on YouTube, because of course Alexa loves to talk corner numbers, as we found last time. However, qualifying is underway. This is the first man out on the track. This is Douglas Mitchell in his Badman's Barbie's McLaren 720S, about ready to start setting his laps out here on the track for qualifying. Now, of course, Doug didn't have the best race last week, Sam. He struggled a little bit, let's say, and then had a bit of an off. Most people had a bit of an off, granted, so I don't hold it against him. But he's definitely going to be looking for a bit more of a redemption story here this week, as that's Jess Osborne directly behind him. And that's the man, I think, of all people, he'll be definitely looking to beat here, a fellow staff member. Jess Osborne right here, the Comic Racing 92.
Yeah, definitely there were a few people last week that either started off having pretty bad days, which is sort of expected, or which is more unfortunate, near the end of the race, having a little bit of an off here or there, and just squandering a whole bunch of maybe places they've gathered or just time they've spent, in tight battles here. But one thing we did see that was obviously difficult was only the one outlap and the two hot laps you could get at Nords, causing some problems with people actually qualifying or getting something good in. So I think that while qualifying maybe didn't matter as much as it does here, I think that's going to be very important that we look at for turn one specifically for the end of the long straight. So these guys will be out there, and then they're going to try to put in 4 or 5 good laps, and we'll see how they stack up.
So that was turn one that Douglas Mitchell just made his way through. You can see just how tight of a corner and a bit of a blind corner as well as you come through there. There's a turn two, and then coming into the S section, I guess. I apologize. I don't know how to refer to corners here. Coda, perhaps the chat can help us out through the race, and maybe Sam knows a little bit more than I do. But as he's making his way now through turn 8 and 9, this will be the simpler section of the track. Of course, after you make the slight left, then turn 10 makes right about here, you're going to make an hairpin and out the back straight. And that is a nice run down into turn 12, where we'll see many other passing opportunities happen, as that's where a lot of your slipstream is going to come off here at Circuit of the Americas. And we'll see a lot of dives going into turn 12, because if you can stick it down to the inside there, the problem is that you've got to make it stick, otherwise you will be on the outside for that little section that is 13-14, and that's a tough sell on the outside of that track. So you've really got to get the move done in turn 12 about right here. There is plenty of room to do it. There's plenty of runoff on the outside of it as well in case of any incidents, so less damage hopefully happening if you do have some incidents. But Doug looking pretty steady as he makes his first qualifying lap here. Not too much scissoring of the wheel, and I say that he gets a little bit of a slide there as he gets on the power coming out of turn 14. But we're going to see a lot of that today. But overall, not too bad. I mean, that McLaren isn't necessarily the easiest car to drive all the time in the rain, but Doug's obviously put a little bit of time in this week to make sure it's set up.
Yeah, the interesting thing I found yesterday in the race is the drill section we just went through. There was a lot of times where, getting on the power around the edge of the turn or just close to a curve or something was obviously nerve-wracking. It seemed like the wrong thing to do, but I was still able to rein it back in almost every time I went on those curves. There's clearly some sort of grip to be had even in the rain there. I think maybe based on the shape of the track or something, but it seemed to be fine. And then the big issue is what he just went through, that big sweeping arc of 16, 17, and 18. Now, entering that's not so hard, but if you do get on power a little bit too early, midway through, you'll sweep way out wide. And if you get on the power a little bit too early at the end as you head towards that little straight before the last 2 turns, that was where I had the biggest trouble, is having it. I actually spun out a few times in that part of the track, is just feeling your car go way past the point at which you could actually do anything about it. You can't lift at that point or you're gone. You have to sort of just open up the wheel or try something else, but it's always at the end of that big sweeper. So I wouldn't worry too much about qualifying for that. If people mess up, they can sort of go back out and try again, but definitely something to look for in the race is that sweeper, I would say, and the second part of the S's.
second part of the S's, says Sam. And of course, everybody loves the S's here at Dakota. It's a difficult part of the track to drive at any time, more or less, when you're trying to fight traffic and in the rain. I don't know who comes up with the weather here, who's playing God, as it were, if it's Jason, if it's Doug, if it's one of the other admins, but a cruel mistress they are here for round 7 at Dakota. Art taking P1 in the silver class so far in his BMW M4. Of course, we saw a bit of a redemption story from him last week. He had a great battle at the end of the race, picked himself up a couple positions, and then fought tooth and nail for that last one right at the end of the race, and came out on top as well. So Art's going to be looking to have a good race this week as well and carry on that momentum through the last 2 rounds of the championship. Of course, next week is the last round for this particular season. So it will be very quick here to see if he's able to pick up any points down towards the end here. He is in P14 on the overall standings. That's 269 points. 425 Jared Troxclair at the top. Quite a big gap there, but he's got plenty of positions within 20, 30 points of striking distance that he can make himself up damn close to the top 5 if he has a couple of finishes here in the last couple of races. He did get taken over P1. Doug Mitchell did set his second lap and set down a 2:14.565, which is nearly a second quicker than he was the last time, if I'm not mistaken. So he's definitely picking up some speed. Now 3/10 ahead of Art.
I don't know how much we need to read into this, but it is kind of funny looking at the makes of the cars in this race right now, right? All of the silvers, we've got 5 Porsches there. And then in the golds, we have no Porsches there. We have Ferraris, Mustangs, and McLarens. Literally only those 3 that I can see in the list right now. Maybe they know something that the others don't or we don't, but it's just an interesting split, especially when you looked at the BOP for this week. If I remember correctly, the Porsche was pretty heavily weighted, I think plus 15 kilograms here. So interesting to see if that plays out at all and the Porsches sort of end up dropping back in the pack, or if they are, for some reason, so OP at this track that they needed that weight, and that'll actually benefit them in the rain.
Yeah, that is in fact true as well. 15 kilograms is correct for that Porsche. It's the heaviest add on the BOP here for round 7. We've got a couple cars at 10 kilograms, such as the 720S, the Mercedes, and the BMW M4. But that 15 kilograms on the Porsche is definitely the heaviest car on the track. So I think that they definitely decided that they needed that. Of course, a lot of, like you said, a lot of drivers here on Division 2 running these Porsches in the silver class. I wonder if they all planned it. Well, we know Selena and Jess. They probably very much. Selena just told Jess, "Hey, we're taking the Porsche." But the rest of these guys, I don't know if they're Porsche mains or not. Porsche drivers tend to be Porsche drivers and no other drivers. Let's be honest.
It is true for me, so I will accept that.
I can't say anything. I'm a McLaren driver. Granted, I'll drive some other cars every once in a while, but I am a McLaren driver typically. So that's the car you'll generally see me in if I'm doing stuff. But I do fancy myself a little putt around Bathurst or something like that in a Lexus. I did a race there in a Lexus once, and it was a lot of fun actually. Once you get to the setup there, actually, the car doesn't just understeer into the wall. I'm hoping we'll maybe see the new Lexus. I hear that they're bringing an updated Lexus to IMSA this coming year. Yeah, that's what I heard too. So maybe we'll see some teams at SRO adopt, and maybe we'll see that. Whether that's with AC2, AC or whatever you want to call it, or here at ACC eventually, that'd be pretty nice. That's the 832 of Barty there, kind of sliding out in the background as he stops for a quick pit stop, abandons his last lap. Silver qualifying is almost over here. This is the final lap here for Austin's White Carver. He's about a 10th up, flirting a little bit with the top of that leaderboard. However, I did just notice that Jess Osborne is looking really, really good here. He's now down with half of his lap. He's 4/10 up and, well, less than 4/10 to P1 at Doug Mitchell as he's coming down the back straight. He's gaining a little bit of time as well. Currently got a 2:14.9 on the board. He's on clock for a low 14.5 That could put him ahead of Doug. Of course, Art also up in his time slightly as well. Not quite as much as Jess, but he is a 10th up. And we might see him fight for Jess if Jess loses a little bit of time here through Sector 3. He's not losing it so far, though. And, Sam, this might be the banker lap here for Jess to try and push himself into P1. Doug's already in the pits.
Yeah, also with this track, because of where the pit lane ends as you exit, we couldn't allow people to just go through and try another lap within 30 seconds. So you'll see these last few silvers, I believe there's 3 in sort of this group, and then 2 heading down the back straight there. That is all. That is their finish, and then the gold will come out. So it'll be just watch here. We'll see as Jess comes across the finish line after this last turn. Does he get it right? Does he overcook it a bit? This last turn can get you out on those curbs and send you skyward for a little while, but looks like he's pulled it off.
Picking up time. He lost a little bit of time down through turn 16, 17, 18, but made it up, but he doesn't quite make up enough. 1.5 tenths off of Doug Mitchell. And Art, he did pick up some more time, another 1.5. Keeps himself in P2 just for all the effort, stays in P3. But you know what? I wouldn't be too mad at that. You're still on the inside going in down into turn 1, even if you're behind a car. I might, on this particular track, want to be in P3 rather than P2, of course, as we watch him dust off his windshield here in the pit lane. That is the end of the silver class. I don't know, Sam. I mean, you raced here yesterday and in the rain. What did you think? Like, if you were in that position and had the choice, would you take P3 or P2 from a positioning perspective, you think?
Well, there was a problem where, because the inside is so unbelievably tight at that first turn, if someone, goes a little bit too slow and messes up, there isn't really anywhere you can suddenly spread out to avoid it. You kind of all have to just stack up. And so we did stack up, and we stacked up inside of each other, to be honest. So the inside just got to be a parking lot, and the outside actually got around easier. And that's where I was sort of hoping to go, was to go outside, because I assumed that would happen. But my own start, I got a good jump, went up the middle of a couple cars and got pushed that way. So honestly, I would say you want to be on the right side, which is that first here, or is that, I can't remember.
First. Oh, is it the right side for first?
It looks like from that image.
Well, this is going into turn 1, right? So you turn left in turn 1, and generally you're in the inside for turn 1, but that is not true at some tracks.
Yeah, if you look at the image across the start-finish line, it looked like the leading box was on the right side.
Interesting.
And there's Anastasi getting maybe a little bit too tail-happy through the beginning, but honestly, that won't really affect much, especially if you don't go outside the bounds, which we haven't talked about yet here, but I think everyone knows Coda has some, super fun bounds that can definitely not ruin your entire, attempt at a qualifying lap in the most just annoying ways you can think possible. And it looks here with the rain, going over the curbs, he is definitely using the curbs. And that's something that maybe you do with the rain because it's a little bit risky. But if he's gone out there and felt like this works for him and it works in practice, he's definitely going to be the fastest. But like I said, if he just goes a little bit too far at the wrong point, then he's going to lose his lap time. So it's a delicate balance of, too far, too risky, or just what I want. And obviously these guys are good enough to really pull that off most of the time.
Matt Anastasi has definitely pulled off some rather impressive finishes or rather impressive laps here during the Division 2 season. Wow, I'm blanking. Season 11. I apologize. I was going to say season 10. But season 11. And Matt Anastasi is in the P6 overall for the driver standings. And he's done very well for himself in this 87. He's going to be our first driver across the line in the gold class. There's that long sweeping corner, 16, 17, 18. What Sam was talking about earlier, there's 16, 17. And why don't we find another apex in that corner and call it 18? Then the left-hander, turn 19. This one's a little quicker, and then a little bit more on the brakes there going into turn 20, the last corner out onto the straight. A little bit of a wiggle as he decides which line he wants to take there. Maybe got a little loose on the brakes. He's going to come back out, get the hammer down, come across the line. That's going to be 9/10 off the silver leader. Not the lap that we're going to see for Pro, and actually not the lap that we've seen already. My broadcasting tool's having little problems switching cars with the 502 of Anderson. did throw down a 14.202, and that's his first lap as well. Tires not fully up to temperature, especially in the rain here. That's, what do we think, another 8/10? I'm going to say a 13.5, maybe, is what these guys can pull off, unless Anderson really did just slap down a banker. I don't know. I don't know the exact lap times around here for the top splits, but that's a damn quick lap for a first lap. And there's Kim sliding in on the 29 car as well. Just 300ths off the back of Anderson. So these guys, P1, P2, definitely taking over from Doyle, Mitchell, and Ark. But the pro car is really throwing it down right at the beginning. Also, notably, Doyle did finish his last lap. Doyle beat Doug Mitchell. Doug's going to go back down to P2 in the silver class. I apologize, did not catch that as the first start.
So if we're looking at the lap times for this week before we go on to SRA.
Sam with the stats. Let's go.
I was going to say, Brian Anderson did have the fastest lap, but here's the problem. Brian Anderson and Philip Muller both had laps in the 2 minutes and 9 seconds, which makes no sense unless the weather was slightly different at the time, where everyone else is much closer. So
yeah, that sounds
what we actually see, right, exactly. And so what we actually see is a 2:14.082 from Jared Choxclair as the, I would say, actual fastest there, but likely, I mean, that's a 2:14.0. They could get in the 13s. I would sort of expect between 14 and 16 to be the spread. But if you didn't get too much practice in, there's some people that are a little bit further back, and coincidentally, most of them are actually Porsches as I look at this, which is interesting. I personally practiced with race fuel, and it worked well, so.
I wonder why the Porsche got 15 kilograms if the Porsche is full on that list. Perhaps these guys might have seen that and slapped another 5 kilograms on that, just to make sure the Porsche can slow down just a touch more. But perhaps a good call by them. We do see the Porsches, of course, Doyle still taking P1 in that silver class, and Jess, P4 in the silver class. There's Jared Choxclair, our points leader. Well, he's trying to look for more points here. He wants those pole position points. 4/10. What did you say? 14.0? That's a 13.792 from Jared Choxclair with the Neon Blade Runners 222. Both in front for the team standings and driver standings. And he wasn't even here last week, Sam.
Yeah, I will say there was some talk yesterday after our qualifying that maybe a dry line sort of formed throughout it, and that some of the gold drivers were putting down lap times that the silver just wouldn't have been able to. So there's a chance it does actually, work a little bit well here, having those cars in front of you, even with this weather, which is something you wouldn't really see in practicing throughout the week. You wouldn't really see a dry line form due to a bunch of traffic on the track. I will amend though what I was saying. The Porsches in this week's practice, they were almost all at the bottom, not the top.
Ah, interesting. So the Porsche's really coming into the race server and throwing down the gauntlet and saying, I don't care that I got that extra 5 kilograms. They are definitely putting down the lap times in the silver class, because they're right at the top of most of that field at the moment, other than Doug and Ark there, of course, in P2 and P3. But Evan Kim did put down a 7 flat in the 13s there, so he went to P1 while Sam was looking at his Porsches as well. This is just going to continue climbing downward, I think. We've got probably one more lap for these guys to be able to put down, and that might come down into those 6s there, but Kim is up on his lap by almost 2/10. Notably, Brian Anderson up on his lap by 6/10. So definitely people dropping into the 12s here, Sam.
We're also watching Kim right behind another car too. So, I mean, slipstream, maybe, some of the water getting out of the way. Certainly he's got spray in his face, which can't be helpful, but at the very least, those other parts may likely be benefiting him. So maybe that will get him another couple tenths here, because he's been able to follow this gigantic Mustang through the air.
Yeah, definitely following that Mustang. You can see the spray on the windshield here from the helmet camera. Not too bad, honestly. I kind of expected it to be a little bit worse, but the spray's not too bad. He looks very clean here through this long, sweeping right-hander. Very steady all the way through. Not too many wheel adjustments to scrub some of the speed. A little loose there as the Mustang gets really loose in front. He's going to stay on the racing line, though. That's going to slow Kim down quite significantly. He's losing the time as he's coming across the line, stuck behind the slower traffic that slid out. Unfortunate for Kim. Still, after that, almost puts in. He did, no, last lap, a 13.762 So actually, if I'm not mistaken, that was the same lap that Troxclair has had. No, 7.92. Very, still faster than Troxclair, even with what happened in front of him there. Now, granted, Troxclair, he set a 14.490 on his last lap as he screwed up. So this is going to be his last run. He's got just enough fuel to make that happen. His qualifying does tick over and goes into the wait time. So this is the final lap for everybody. Troxclair is the one to watch at the moment for P1. We do have Normandow back in P5. He's a few tenths up on his lap as well. But ooh, he's going to get a big slide there through the S's. That's turn 7, if I'm not mistaken. And he is just struggling with his McLaren here. You can see him scissoring the wheel all over the place through these, really trying to push for that last little bit and not doing too bad at it as well. Still 3 tenths up on his lap even after all that, and that's getting damn close to P1. Jared Troxclair losing a little bit of time. I saw him about 2.5 tenths up a couple sectors ago. He's now closer to a tenth. That's still enough if he can finish it here, going down into that very sharp left-hander that is turn 15 into the sweeper here for the Neon Blade Runners 222. And we're going to see if he's able to hold on to this. He's exactly 9 tenths up on my meter at the moment, or 9 hundredths up on my meter at the moment. I apologize, not tenths. And he might be able to fight for P1 there. Normandow is up still as well, so he's going to continue fighting, try to get his way up. And Moffitt in that 64, also up on his lap. These guys are all coming for it here at the end of qualifying. Let's see what happens with Troxclair.
Wow, not quite what I was expecting on that last 2 turns, and somehow he pulled it off. Having the grip in the rain and having sort of the confidence to go over the curbs like that, man, that's what gets you there. That just gets you an extra, what, couple thousandths? Yeah, 8 thousandths of a second. And honestly, like we saw Kim, I was watching his in-car timer, and I saw that 13.7. Definitely, if he wasn't that close to that Mustang, he would have been probably would have been pole here. But I don't think it's much of a big deal. Pole or P2 is still going to get you a pretty good start here, and it does look like we saw, like we said, that P1 starts, I think, from the outside, which, like I said, I think is advantageous here, especially in the rain. The biggest issue, like I said, being trying to go up the inside and make that turn as tight as possible. If you are on the outside, you do at least have a better chance to sort of inch around the outside, and then as soon as you make it around turn 1, the next turn is a right-hander. So even though you went around the outside of turn 1, you now have the inside line to start the S's, and that is, I think, very beneficial. So we're going to look here at the team series, the standings for Season 11, Division 2. Jared Troxclair, who we actually just saw out there setting a great lap time, he is currently leading, but not by much. So there's only 15 points, and you get a lot of points in these races. So 15 is definitely not enough to say he's got this under control, and there are 2 races left. I'm not 100% sure if this shows with the drop races or not, but let's just say we're pretty close all the way here the top, I would say the top 6 all have a really good shot at sort of bouncing around. But to be honest, depending on what happens, because we're in the rain and we know Brian Anderson is strong, like we just saw him driving around, he's in P10, he might move up a whole lot. Evan Kim, he just got P2, he's also strong here. So this might be the race where we see some movement up from those back 9-10. And obviously, as we go down through the rest, many of these people likely missed races or have been sort of fighting in the back in the silver, but it does look like we don't really have too much of a spread of the same car, which is good to see throughout the season. And now in teams, this is actually even more interesting because I don't know why I keep forgetting, but Jared Troxclair and Brian Anderson. So like I said, they are both looking to do well this race. And even though they don't have the team series wrapped up yet, this is looking pretty much like they're going to get some good points today, and they'll probably extend that 13-point lead, which will definitely help for the next race, which is, I believe, Watkins Glen.
I do believe the last race is, in fact, at the Glen. I knew that because I knew I was going to miss it because I was going to be moving that week. Yes, Watkins Glen next week for the 26th. So, yeah, we've got points battles literally everywhere. These points battles are just going to continue going here through this race as well as during the last race at the Glen, and I'm really curious to see how this will turn out. I'm going to miss next week's race, but I'm definitely going to make sure that I check in on the point standings and see what goes on. Check out the stream for next week as well. But yeah, we are getting ready to go out on the grid here. This is Jared Troxclair going to lead them on the parade lap around the circuit. And of course, our drone decided it wanted to position right at that. So I'm going to manually move the drone over here as we go out down the formation lap. This is Jared Troxclair, Neon Blade Runners. He's going to take the field around for their formation lap, taking P1, getting those pole position points. That's going to put him further and further into the lead. And as you said, Neon Blade Runners' team in P1 as well, him and Brian Anderson. Where did you say Brian ended up? He was P10 on? Yeah, so that team not doing too bad, especially considering how well Jared has done for the season. So we've got Jared Troxclair, of course, Evan Kim directly behind him as him and Doug are playing something over there. What are you doing? What are you doing, Brian? That's Brian up here. Look at this, P3. Brian Anderson, Jared Troxclair, P1, 2, 3.
Jared Troxclair and also John Archie, they weren't in last week's race, correct?
They were not, no. So, yeah, we had a lot of drivers miss last week's race, and that really shook up the points quite a bit. Of course, you do have that drop-down like you talked about. This is John Archie here in P4. Great qualifying from him this week. And, of course, Norman Dow, P5. He stuck there the entire qualifying. He kept increasing his lap time and just keeping himself in P5. I'm sure he'll be pretty happy with that overall. P5 is not a bad way to start. Ian Wheeler, they're in P6, and then, of course, Draven Doyle. This will be your P1 in silver class to lead them around the field in his 281 Porsche, and then Nick Son directly behind them, and one of the MH team close enough Ford Mustang GT3s. Doug Mitchell starts behind him in P9. That's the number 10 Bad Benz Porsche, and then arced behind him, we talked about him briefly. Again, this is just a hell of a finish for him. As he finished at the Nordschleife. Just a great battle with these guys will round out the top 10. That's Ivan McCroat, Joel Moffitt, Matthew Higgs, Fire Queso, our winner from last week, down in P14, and then Jess Osborne in P15. Well, coming out of the back straight, you know these drivers probably better than I do. Sam, you know this track a heck of a lot better than I do. I have never raced here. Knowing what you know of the drivers and knowing what you know of the points, who's fighting, who you watching, and what is your pick for the day, do you think?
I think most people who qualified at the top is who I'm watching, honestly. We had a couple people jump up in the overall standings because there were some surprise, I would say, but maybe just not a surprise for them because they love Nords from last week getting some points. But I think we go back to kind of the regular D2 here where we're expecting, the likes of Troxclair and Fire Queso, etc., where he is starting P14, which is surprising. But I expect he'll make up a good amount of places there. And as far as Silver
he
goes,
might not, as it turns out. This is Fire Queso in the pit lane, and his Ferrari, the 710 Champion Motorsports S11, is in the pit lane. That's a Mustang up ahead of him. That's Josh Daminani. He did not qualify, did not put in a qualifying lap. So Queso starting from the pit lane. Is this a strategy call, or is this a mechanical issue that is going to lead him to have to start in the pit lane? We'll find out if he's able to leave the pit lane. Of course, he will not be able to leave until all cars pass the end of the pit lane, and they get the green light to go. So that means he's fallen from the mid-pack all the way down to at least the bottom as they start lining up 2 by 2 behind Jared Troxclair and Evan Kim. That is, again, Brian Anderson, John Archie on the second row. I don't know, man. Queso may not be the one to watch today, but if he's able to get out of the pit lane, he's going to have to put the hammer down, and he's going to be one to watch. He'll probably make it so.
Well, I mean, talk about the turnaround from last week. He won Nords pretty easily, it seemed. So maybe he'll go last to first, and that's what he's trying to do to show us all up.
Neon Blade Runners, McLaren 720S, leading them down to the green lights, waiting for the lights to flash green in front of them. There is the start line going to appear on the screen very, very briefly. We'll get the random generated green light just past the line. There it is, green flag in the air. Round 7, Coda GT3 Team Series. Division 2 is green. Jared Troxclair is definitely trying to keep on that outside than that 2-2-2. He does not slot in front. In fact, Evan is able to get the move done. Oh, sorry, no, hang on. They did start on the inside, Sam. That is the inside line for P1. So that is Evan Kim dropping to second, still holding there in second as the 2-2-2 holds P1. Nothing really happening too much in the back. These guys just raising nose to tail, but Evan Kim staring Jared Troxclair's tail lights in his windshield at the moment, waiting for that opportunity to get by on lap 1 and put the pace down. He did put some good laps down, I believe you said, Sam, during the week, so maybe he just wants to get some fresh air and get out of there. I know that during the rain, I don't want to be stuck behind cars like this. Again, the spray, we'll switch to the onboard cam for a second. The spray, not too bad, but you can see just how much that does affect your vision ever so slightly still, and that matters here when you're racing. I mean, hey, you're doing what? 120, 140 miles an hour. If you can't see 10%, that's a lot, right? And this spray will definitely affect that. All the guys just sorting themselves out, single file all the way down the straight here. This is Douglas Mitchell, his Evans teammate, still back in P8, stuck in P2 for the silver class. But the Barbie machine for the Badman's doing a great job holding on to that so far. Nose to tail, nose to tail, nose to tail is the story all the way back. The 832 had a bit of an incident. We're going to see what happened with that really quick. Catch a bit of a replay. What happened here, Sam?
Yeah, down the middle of the straight, we saw them go yellow. It does. They just got pit maneuvered there, too wide, going down. I mean, it's just a straight, but yeah, I guess you can kind of expect that when there's some rain, not really being able to travel exactly as you'd expect. But what is the yellow in the pits?
Yellow in pits, the 882 of Kurt LeMay. The Rust Easy Sim Racing, I do have an incident for him. Let's see if we have anything for that. Nope, it flashed straight to the pit lane. Yeah, it flashed straight to the pit lane. He must have hit the pit lane just before it went live. Though I do have an accident, an incident, some sort of touch for him on my broadcasting tool. I'm not sure what that is yet. This is back to live pictures now. Brian Anderson now in P3 for the Neon Blade Runners behind his, just keeping Kim right in the middle of the teammates there. I'd be concerned.
Yeah, I would be a little bit concerned as well. And also, I mean, it does look like, even though there was some of that argy-bargy at turn 1 in the first lap, like I sort of guessed there would be, everyone still made it through clean. So there isn't really anyone getting away from anyone right now. Everything seems to be within about a second, all the way back to, what, like P12, P13, something like that. And even, you know, after the 2-second gap, there's a couple more within a second. A 2-second gap, a couple more within a second. So there is nothing you can really see from right now saying, oh, I think this is going somebody's way, which means everyone has to be fully alert. Everyone needs to be just getting their lap times down, their tires up to temperature, and figuring out how this track feels running right behind somebody.
Yeah, looking at the actual deltas on my broadcasting tool, I've got Matt Anastasi in P13. That's the first one. That is outside of a second's difference, basically. And then you have to go back to Matt Artem in P17. You can see a little bit of a gap there. And, of course, on your map, if you're looking, the 777 is the first one that's dropped back a little farther. We're going to see a bit of a move here. This is Matt Artem getting dove on by Cody Platt, coming down into turn 12 at the end of the back straight, and that's going to be an easy pass for the 30 Mustang there, Cody Platt. Ooh, maybe not an easy one. Maybe a little bit of a touch there, I think. Just a slight one. And now the Ferrari's looking at him as well. Hartman now wants to get by. He wants to make sure he can stay behind that Pro Class driver, make sure that he's able to fight for the class points and not have to worry about the silver of Artem behind him. And, of course, Artem wants to stick in front of him because he's got silver cars out that he's trying to chase. So Artem in the Audi not having a good time at the moment. And I apologize. That is Platt and Hartman. Yeah. The timing screen still hasn't updated. I forget that ACC's timing screen still takes forever to update. But it gets there eventually. But that is Matt Artem down to P19. Norman Dow still sitting. He dropped one position. Ian Wheeler took over P5 from him, but he's hanging on to the back of the pack here throughout the first couple laps. These guys now 5 minutes into this race, and not really too much drama. A little bit with the incident that we saw coming down the back straight just a moment ago on lap 1, but otherwise not too much drama other than the 882 being in the pit lane. And this is Matthew Higgs for the Madhouse Racing making an early pit stop, a strategic call for him, very likely in the rain, making sure he wants to get some clean air and not have to worry about cars around him would be my guess. yes. We'll see if that pays off for him a little later. And I did note that Fire Queso did make his way back out onto the track, so I don't know if that was a potential strategic call by him, but he does seem to have whatever mechanical issue that he did have fixed, and he's back out on the track.
I do believe in the background we also just saw Doug pass Doyle around turn 1, I think it was, and now Doyle has lost even another place there. So something we're seeing, I think, a couple times, especially with like Matt Arton on that last lap, is when somebody goes defensive and they mess up, turn here or there in the rain at this track where some of the turns you mess up lead onto these major straights, or more of the turns lead onto the major straights. You really can start losing more than one place, 2 places, 3 places, and it's hard to get back and fight that. So it may not be an endurance race, but I think you maybe, don't fight some of these and try to live to keep your place or keep your overall pace up rather than maybe keeping your place.
I love the thought. Here's the question that I posed to you in the chat. Do we think any of those drivers will do that, or do you think they're going to be racing drivers and just absolutely gun it the absolute chance that they get?
Well, I mean, that's definitely why Artem, lost his place. At the end of that straight, he just the overtake was done, and he still kind of turned in a little bit on it and ended up having to back out. So, yeah, you want to be a racing driver. You don't want to slow down at all, but there's no way you're going to come back from, an overtake down a certain straight when they're already kind of past you. So it's not like not being a race driver. It's common sense sometimes. It's just playing the game so you can get back there. Wow, Doyle really does look like he's not going to let these things go, which is good. He definitely shouldn't, but that Porsche is just dropped by the Mustang down the straight.
And here's the problem, though. That's Art there in the background, by the way, diving into the wet part of the track. That, to me, means I'm getting overheated tires. He perhaps overpressured his tires a little bit, diving into the wet part of the circuit, trying to cool those things down. As Doyle, like Sam said, is diving on Nick Son. He is not wanting to let that go. We did see a quick replay of Doyle diving into turn 1, I believe it was, and just kind of missing the braking zone a bit and going a little wide, or perhaps the Mustang in front of him slowed more than the Porsche needs to. One way or the other, Doyle wants to make sure he can get past Nick Son. He's got P1 of Doug Mitchell up in front of him, only 6/10 ahead of Son there, rather. So he's got a position to think about as well. And now there's just a car in his way. Like you said, though, will it be that he'll wait and be patient? As Doug has actually made a bit of a mistake here. We can now see him directly in front of Nick Son. These guys now nose to tail coming down the back straight. We're going to see what the slipstream looks like. Nick Son pulling up to the back end of Douglas Mitchell's McLaren 720S. He's going to have to go to the outside. Doug going defensive. There it is. You see him clear the car completely. He's past him, but can he make it stick along the outside? Just a reminder, the outside does turn into the inside here into this little boot, horseshoe, whatever section. That's turn 13 or 12 that they just took into 13. He's now got the inside, and this is a long way around this right-hander before Doug will get clear and back on the inside. And you can see he is losing it, but Nick Son loses it a little too much. A little bit of a contact there with Draven Doyle as Art now sniffing at the rear of that Mustang. He's going to get the nose under him as they come into that long sweeping right-hander. Nick Son not having a good time with his Ford Mustang, drops a couple more positions back down to P9 within a couple corners there. He was really looking racy there for a second, but just not enough in that Mustang.
Yeah, there's that exact same story again, right? You're having a battle, and if you're going too wide, if you're really trying to fight this in the rain, and you are the one that comes out worse for wear, you're going to lose multiple places when these are like this. Because, Doyle was able to follow Doug through after it went inside-outside, so he was able to just sort of cut off the Mustang from being able to turn in after he already lost the place. So it's really, kind of dangerous to take these sort of fights if you want to keep your place. But I think that you just kind of get back in there and calm down. There's 50 minutes left. Clearly the Mustang looks strong on the straights, and he was catching up. So hopefully you don't get the red mist and cause yourself to lose a little bit of your pace and your momentum and your clarity.
Yeah, that's really what it is, right? A track like this in conditions like this, because this is not heavy rain. I hate driving in continuous light rain. I love me some changing conditions. I love me some medium rain. John Archie getting all sorts out of shape there, trying to follow Brian Anderson in to the hairpin before the back straight and just trying to find the grip, and he's not able to get that done quite yet in this Ferrari 296 GR. Kit Kat Cartel number 85. Of course, the JRR team, him and Mana Desaji have done very well for themselves this championship as well. P4 overall, and that was after having a bit of a struggle last week. John Archie did not make it. He's going to go for the move here on Anderson again, 502. Not able to quite stick the nose down because he's getting dove on from the outside as well, and that's going to be a three-way battle coming in, and I think that John Archie just made it stick. What just happened? What just happened?
I think that's making it plow.
What just happened here? Look at this. There's the Beamer going on the outside, pushing him down to the bottom of the track. That's that. Oh man, 3 wide into turn 11. Art goes way off the track, and that'll be +1 for Nick Son behind him, I believe. But John Archie coming out the big winner there in a big 3 wide move in turn 11 up into the podium positions is John Archie in P3. Very, very happy with that he's going to be, because I don't think that he has the pace to get Brian Anderson. Normally at the moment, he's going to have to wait for Brian to make a mistake, and that's what he did.
That is not the outcome I thought when we were watching on board. I thought everyone was going to spin off into the side and we're going to see a bunch of yellows and a bunch of angry people, but wow. I mean, they're all trying to get to that one position. They all get a little bit bumped and out, but they all survive, and they're all back into the same battle right now. It's absolutely great to watch this, and you know, maybe you feel a little bit put out that you were squeezed or something there, but I think when anyone looks back at it, that's just good racing.
Exactly, especially here in the rain. Like I take a lot of liberties for other drivers in the rain, and myself in the rain, right? Like, you know, you try to race clean, you try to race as respectful as you can, but you know what? What you think about the next day, the next week, the next month, you know, 9 months from now, we go, man, that's a great race. Why do you think that? It's because of this right here. It's because Evan Kim is stuck to the back of Jared Troxclair, waiting for a move to happen, and if they get a little argy-bargy, you know what? They get a little argy-bargy. That's just how it is. As long as there's no major incidents, we all know we're out here for fun. This isn't a big esports competitive environment, right? However much we want to be competitive and have fun, these guys really are just here for that. They're here to have fun. And Evan Kim and Jared Troxclair, you won't know they're having a blast. Archie, Anderson, Normandale, Wheeler behind them, they are having a blast racing in this. This is such good racing to be a part of. I'm a little jealous I'm not out on this track right now.
Yeah, I mean, certainly you can see from the intervals, there's a couple 5-second gaps here or there, but right behind them is still at least 3 or 4 cars that are all having these, you know, tight battles, and not even just tight, but they're changing places. Somebody dropping 2 or 3 places and someone gaining 2 or 3, and then it can all swap back around. I mean, it looks like MS5 Cup racing.
Oh, a little bit of a bump there. That's a bump from Kim on a Troxclair. That's exactly what we're talking about right there, right? Just that little bit of a touch. It didn't matter, but you know what? It was a bump, and technically, that is still a bump. But these guys, they aren't going to care. Kim is having a blast, and Troxclair's eyes are glued on this mirror. We did see, by the way, Nick Son have more struggle. He's back down to P10, and in this pack back here now, he is losing positions like crazy. Is he? And I don't know about Nick. He might need to make a pit stop. Maybe he's got some tire issues or something like we saw with Art.
I don't know if that was tire issues, actually. I wonder if he was just trying to get out of the spray. I mean, we'll certainly see if they start sort of spinning around more, but I will say the Mustangs did look a little bit more squirrely out there yesterday, as I saw. Now, we kind of expect that from the Mustangs
He's doing
all
it again.
the time.
He's doing it again. He's definitely got tire issues going on. By the way, Son has found his GOAT, the teammates now, P10, P11.
Oh, that's very nice. Yeah, maybe they can do something and attack together and hopefully not, you know, take each other out, as we wanted to see in Formula One a whole lot. But those Mustangs punching a nice hole through the air down those straights, you know, might be able to follow up and take the attack to Art and his BMW. Something to look at as we get closer towards the middle of this race, and also it does seem like we've only had 3, I guess, drivers take the early pit stop to try to get out into clean air. As the pits start opening, or not opening, as they start filling up with more and more drivers, as people leave the pits in the rain, it's definitely a different story, right? I mean, as you're driving around and you're opening, oh wait, he was going down the inside, nice little dive on Cody. Can he make it stick, though? He did go a little bit wide on the outside, and the Mustang's not going to hold it that well. He's got the power. They're having a 2-wide race down. Let's see what happens. We're coming to, of course, the end of the long straight, which I believe the inside line is maybe not as powerful as you'd think here.
No, I agree. I very much don't think it is. I think the outside line is really where you want to be, as long as you can keep your nose next to the quarter panel of that guy that is now on your outside. Martin Smith, though, ooh, a little bit of a touch there from behind from White's Carver, but Martin Smith just absolutely keeping it ahead of the BMW and is able to get the inside back for the last section, sector 3 here. And White's Carver may be having a little bit of issue as well. Of course, that's his teammate Art, who we're talking about having issues with tires. Wonder if they took the same tire pressures, and White's Carver might be having the same problem as well, or is he just getting loose because, well, you know, it, as it turns out, is raining, and cars don't have as much traction in the rain. So the 443, the 26 and the 27, sorry, not the 277. Things switching around. The Art is in the 370. I know what car numbers exist. These guys are definitely having a bit of a tire issue. We do see one more driver coming to the pits. That is Nick Son. Unsurprising to me, given how loose he's been and has really dropped positions. He's dropped about 6 positions in a couple laps. We'll see if after he comes out of the pit lane, if he's able to make a stick a little bit better on the black stuff. Back up to this battle for P3. That's John Archie, Brian Anderson, Norman Dow that we're looking at, and Ian Wheeler directly behind. These guys still nose to tail. And that's 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and actually 8 as well, nose to tail there in the background. So these guys still sticking in single file. Evan Kim, Jared Troxler are still fighting on the floor. Well, want to put something out to chat real quick here in a little bit. We'll take a very quick comms break. I want to know who everybody would like to ride on board with here at COTA for a lap at this rainy circuit out here in Texas. Let us know who you guys would like to see, and here in a few minutes we will take that trip. I don't accept Doug's entry from language only. And that's the only thing I have to say about that. Anyway, Evan Kim. Still
I was going to say, that would
Jared
be my
Troxler.
vote, would be Evan Kim, yeah. And actually, something to keep an eye on is how Nick Son is doing on his outlap with his, fresh tires that might be cold in the rain. Hopefully we'll be able to keep that up. I'm just going to look at that in the background on the track map as we're going along. But I'd say this is who I want to sort of watch for at least a whole lap.
And the Badmans, they are coming down to the final corner now. Let's take a tour of COTA with Evan Kim to the Badmans team with commentary as we follow Jared Troxler down the front straight. This is the splitter cam of the Badmans 29, the Barbie car, chasing Jared Troxler for P1 now 20 minutes or so into this race. Hard on the brakes into turn 1. He's gaining a lot of time there on the brakes, but he misses the apex ever so slightly. Jared Troxler able to get the power down a little bit quicker than he is, and then coming down into turn 2, the sweeping right-hander here. Very long, flat corner. Maybe not quite flat in the rain, but I didn't hear him work the throttle. There's a little bit of work from turn 3, and then into the S's turn 4. Then the left-hander of 5. Right-hander, the longest corner of this section here on 6. And then a couple more left, right, before they get out to the section of the back straight. Evan Kim just staying right on the back of Troxler, not really trying to make any moves happen through this section. He knows he's got plenty of time. He's got no cars behind him. He needs to just wait for Troxler to either make a mistake or get a really good slipstream run down the straight, and that's where they're headed right now. There's turn 10 and into turn 11. The long sweeping left-hander, Evan Kim, going to V the corner a little bit, it looks like, trying to get the power down early, not able to do it. This is the 29 still a little bit behind Troxler. Troxler doing a great job getting on the power. No slipstream help is going to help Kim here. Not enough DRS for him in these GT3 cars, as it turns out, because, it doesn't exist. But 7/10 on the last timing marker. Definitely a lot closer than 7/10 now. 2/10 on the timing marker as they come out of the back straight and then out through the sector 3 of this track. Passing opportunities abound here if you can get your nose under somebody. And that's really the key, because if the car in front of you really just kind of keeps it on the apex, you kind of can't do anything until you get to about right here when you go along the sweeping right-hander. I have seen cars go across the outside of people here. As long as you can kind of get your nose under there and make it stick, you can eventually make it work if you're brave enough. But coming down to the last 2 corners, corner 19 and then into turn 20, rounding the straight, that is going to be a lap of Coda here with Evan Kim's Badminton's number 29 McLaren 720S, following Jared Troxler still out in P1. This is Archie, Normandow, Brian Anderson, Wheeler behind them, still fighting as they come down the front straight here. They're going to as well, just nose to tail racing all the way down, and these guys have not budged a bit, Sam.
Yeah, something I like to mention, you know, here in these sort of not multi-class, but the multi-car make, you know, racing is you have so many different ways that you might drive some of these cars. And yeah, setup matters, but, you know, a heavy Mustang or a light Porsche or, you know, a McLaren that's sort of in the middle, it does matter. So sometimes you need to look for those sort of weaknesses of the car in front of you or strength that you have to battle. But as we look at the front two, they both have McLarens. So you got to imagine it's really hard to follow somebody's line that close like Kim is doing. And, you know, if you think that that's the exact same line you need to follow, then you're stuck behind him. You're stuck not seeing the brake markers. You're stuck with the rain. And if you do try to move out a little bit to try to, you know, take some sort of dive or some sort of move, you now know that you are going against what is the best line or best method. So that becomes even a little bit more difficult watching those two McLarens race each other.
Yeah, this is Martin Smith, by the way, back to him. That is a White's Carver in front of him now. Austin did make that pass on the last lap, and Martin Smith falling down the order here a little bit as we're seeing more and more pit stops happen. Of course, this is Arton here in the 415, Martin's teammate in the pit lane. As we approach that halfway mark, we see a lot more pit stops happening throughout. Well, I do think that everybody in the chat decided that we have to look at Doug. So, we're going to go to Doug, and we're going to watch him do a lap, and you guys can have your fun. No, we love the McLaren 720S. I love the McLaren 720S. Don't touch.
Watch him pit.
Watch him pit. Watch him pit. We got to make sure. Hey, Alexa, you hang on. We're watching Doug pit. Would you like to watch us watch Doug pit?
Yes, why not? He is in a Barbie car after all. I watched that movie. I've joined at the I was so confused what was happening for a second, but I feel like I've joined at the perfect time considering that the T3 stream just does not want to work. So hi guys, you've got me now. Enjoy. You've got
Doug, you missed it. You didn't pit.
Oh, he didn't pit. Doug, box. Doug, box. No, I don't want box. Doug, box, please. Box. No.
I blame Alexa.
I blame Alexa. Alexa's fault. And this is not Amazon listening. It's our Alexa, not that one. That Alexa's fine. Don't worry. Let's go ahead and take a ride with Douglas Mitchell here around the track of Coda. Tom's will be back here in just a couple months. All right, language. What do we think? Did we win? Did Doug win? Is he going to win? You guys tell me. There's Normandow in the pits there right ahead of him, by the way. Doug going to be promoted up to P6 as some of our leaders are now going to start cycling in the pits. There's Norman Doyle and Jess Osborne, all in the top 10, all looking to pit. We were talking very briefly down the break, catching Alexa up on what was going on. And Sam, you were saying that you think a lot of these battles are going to be broken up due to the pit stops.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see them, and you kind of see the gap spread out now, but certainly the way pit stops work is you'd like to see them all come back out, you know, plus or minus a second or so. I believe the delta is around, or I don't know if it's a delta, but I think a 32-second pit stop is roughly perfect, is what people were mentioning yesterday. Maybe that's just stopped time. But here is what we're wondering is, you know, is Evan going to try the undercut, or is he going to try to go in at the same time Jared does? Is Jared going to go in and watch Evan go overcut? That's sort of what matters for this race. There's a couple other close packs that we can see that may also have that sort of strategy come into play.
Yeah, well, that's the thing though, because looking at it from D1 yesterday, the overcut is something that is actually pretty decent around here, because the wet weather tyre wear is actually not as bad as people think. So if you're going like that extra 1 or 2 laps, it may actually help you out, because the overcut can be, it's about the same, but I would say the overcut is probably more favoured here at this circuit specifically, thanks to sector number 3 and sector number 1.
Interesting. So perhaps the late pit stops will be the play here. Of course, we did see that car dive into the pit lane within the first couple laps. What is he up to? Was that not... oh, there is actually Troxclair going to dive into the pit lane a little early. So that's Evan Kim's going to inherit the lead from Troxclair. This is going to be very interesting with these guys. I would not be surprised if Evan makes that pit stop within the next lap or two, though perhaps if they've been paying attention to yesterday, perhaps they will make that overcut, as Alexa suggests, and that very well could be the big difference here. And keep an eye on this battle as these guys cycle in. Some of this battle here as well, cycling into the pit lane. This is Ian Wheeler and John Archie now fighting nose to tail without their other 2 friends. And by the way, Selena, while you were talking, Troxler did finally make his first mistake of the race that I've caught. Evan almost had a chance to get past him out of turn 15, 16, 17, 18, but wasn't able to quite get it done. But that was the first big mistake we've seen him make, and the first move that we've been able to see Evan try to make this entire race, and not able to get it done quite yet. Jared is in the pits, along with Ivan McCroat, Selena in the pit lane as well, and Hartman in his 48 Champion Motorsports S11 teammate of Fire Queso in the pit lane as well. Doug, box. Come on, Doug.
I gotta say, if I'm Evan Kim right now, I've got a pretty good gap of clear air in front of me. I keep going for a while if I can.
Yeah.
To be honest, the outlap is just so dangerous with the, you know, cold tires, and you immediately do, you know, a tight hairpin turn, and then those S's can be pretty dangerous. Even at the end of the S's, the sort of kink going down to the hairpin before the long straight back there, if you mess that up, you're going way off. So, you know, getting out of the pits can be a pretty dangerous thing to do, and if he pits now, he might just be shoved back in some traffic. I'd say just keep going and maybe play the long game if you can.
So notably, really quick, notably, Jared Troxclair about 2 seconds slower in the pit lane, maybe 3 seconds slower in the pit lane than some other cars. So that could be, if Evan comes in, nails a pit stop, that could be the couple seconds he needs.
Yeah, most definitely. That is one of the major things, especially in this weather, is the pit stops and how much they're going to affect it. Real quickly, speaking of pit stops, box, Doug, we need you to box opposite to Verstappen, box opposite to Verstappen. There's John Archie.
And Evan Kim. Where's Doug on my list? Oh, he did not box again. Doug. Badmans. Bad.
Hey, Doug's just trying to keep track position, right? Because that always works. We know it always works. It definitely doesn't mess up at all.
He's on the podium now. Easy. You know, like he's done. He's on P3. He's good. Actually, notably even, he's now directly behind Brian Anderson. So Anderson has actually lost a little bit more time than we thought maybe he would, because that gap was not significant earlier, but definitely bigger.
Yeah, and it sometimes
Yeah.
ends up being the, hot lapping, doing well in practice, doing well in qualifying versus, having the actual lap after lap consistency in a race, especially if you don't drive in the wet all that often. So that might be what we're seeing a little bit of here.
So here is the race leader before pit stops by the Jared Troxler coming across the line. Where's Evan Kim? Here he is at the moment. Let's see, off the wing. Nope. Do we catch him off the front splitter? We do. Still off the front splitter is Jared Troxler. A rather slow pit stop by Evan Kim as well. 116.4 in the pit lane. Jared Troxler, 116.4. So at best, lost a couple tenths actually. Jared gained a couple tenths on his out lap in comparison to Evan's in lap. So a great out lap by Jared Troxler is going to keep him in the lead as they now are in the back half of this. Oh, Evan Kim goes around. He's going to be into the wall. That's a little bit of a hit there from Evan. Not too bad, but that is around as he gets the power down with the cold tires. Not able to stick it to the black stuff. Huge upset by Douglas Mitchell's teammate Evan Kim here. There it is. Just catches the curb ever so slightly, back around, little bonk of the wall, but more importantly, a massive time loss. Evan Kim now all the way down, probably as we go back to live here. Yeah, there it is. Evan Kim in P7 at the moment, which is still in P2 once you sort out the pit stops, but now breathing down his neck is another car, and that's not what you want to see. Is a John Archie in the Kit Kat Cartel 85 directly behind him. The Ferrari making the move down the back straight. Is he going to be able to get on the stoppers quick enough? No, he is in the 85, slotting back behind. We know that Kim has the pace, but now what happens to that damage? And now, what does Jared Troxler do? This mistake could still happen from him. He's got 28 minutes.
Yeah.
I feel like that's exactly what I said was happening, isn't
Yep.
I? Didn't I?
You did.
Anyways, Alexa.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what it is, especially I was actually waiting to bring this up, is these curbs in this weather. We saw it yesterday, notably with Michael Menning. Even though he wasn't spinning, you don't want to go on these curbs at all in this wet weather because they will lose you time. And on the acceleration, one thing we may see when it comes to battling is they're not pushing each other off the track, but if somebody's defending, like here at turn 1, defending that inside line, you could see them open up the steering a little bit, push the other driver onto the curb. That loses them traction, and it lets the person on the tarmac just get away. That is something that could definitely come into play here for these battles. Another battle right now, though, is going to be, I believe that is the BMW, actually. Oh no, is that the Ford? That is the Ford, because that is not a BMW, that is an American machine. And that is going to be John Archie, who's trying to make his way past Wheeler. Wheeler? God, I know.
Wheeler, I believe. I understand that language is a little hard in the undeveloped portions of the world for you, Alexa.
Mute his mic. Mute the mic.
My apologies.
Mute mic.
Yes,
get him going.
Mute me.
He's insulting the D1 person. How dare he? I'm higher. I know I'm higher up than you are, both in country and the league.
Dude,
I don't know about in country.
I don't know about that, Alexa. You're in a North American league here. I'm gonna be careful.
Hey, you guys still work for us, okay?
Chat. Where's my backup? Chat, come on, help.
Chatting backing you up here, mate, because they know. Chatting backing you up here, mate, because they know what happened last time. Hello.
Yeah, that's the 163.
That's the 162.
Matthew Higgs. Matthew Higgs for the Madhouse Racing goes around. I do believe that was pretty much just a go around by himself. I do not have a report of a touch, so just a bit of a self spin as Doug. He's in the box.
He's P1.
The radio finally got there.
Box.
Yeah, he is.
He boxed P1.
He was in P1 mostly because Brian Anderson is in the pits and behind him in the pit lane. So he did come temporarily up into P1 as he crossed the line. Here comes Jared Troxler, though. He's going to come back and reclaim his spot up into P1. He's now got, what is that, 19 seconds? Wow, that is a huge 19 seconds. It's ticking down to about 15 now. Let's see, Jared's 12 seconds into his lap when he crossed the line. So ignore the intervals. It's about a 12-second gap as he crosses the line. That's huge. That's a big time loss for him. I don't think he's got a shot unless Jared makes a mistake.
Well, remember, once Evan, spun and collected himself, he brought a couple cars in right behind him. Well, one car and then another one slotted in after the pit, but that means that he's suddenly in a battle that he wasn't in for the rest of the beginning of the race. He never had anyone behind him that he had to defend. It does look like he's created a bit of a gap now, but he did defend for at least 1 or 2 laps against John Archie and Wheeler for a bit, which means you're going to lose some time and you're going to slow down. So it seems like he's got some clean air now. Maybe he can make some advances back towards the front if he really can. 24 minutes isn't that short a time, but it's also fighting someone in Jared Trucks that we're watching just pretty much, master this track, even with someone who was on his tail the entire first half of the race.
And speaking of being on the tail, Brian Anderson, his teammate, on the tail of Douglas Mitchell as they exit the pit lane. Here's the hairpin coming out on the back straight. Brian Anderson trying to get a great run down here. He's got a pro car out ahead of him. That's Nick Son and the Mustangs. We know those Mustangs have been suffering today here with grip, and Brian Anderson wants to make sure that he can capitalize on that. Goes to the outside at the end of the back straight onto turn 12. Hard on the brakes will be Brian, but is he harder than Doug is the question. Not quite. Doug's going to be able to keep the nose under there. Brian's going to have to cycle back. He goes for the switchback and realizes, wait a minute, that's not the corner you can do a switchback on. I'll be on the outside, and Doug's going to keep that position for now. But Brian is looking racy. We knew he was good on new tires earlier. Great run by him the first part of the race, and then slid off there towards the end. Doug, he looked pretty consistent all the way through. In fact, almost a little faster at the end. He was catching Anderson at the end of that stint. So Doug is definitely going to need to defend as hard as he can here, knowing full well that he was better at the end of the stint. And he needs to repeat that towards the end of it here in about 23 minutes.
Also, I think Brian came out of the pits in front of Doug. We saw him drop down and start driving away. I think that Doug made an overtake on the outlap.
Let's see if I have an overtake. Car 10 and 502. I might. So let's see what this is. That is Doug already out in front. So that there is an overtake there. So it looks like that Doug did indeed take him, but we just don't have a replay of it, unfortunately. But yeah,
looks
Doug.
like maybe turn 1 just went a little bit tough for Anderson there. That might have been how Doug snuck up on the inside and got around.
Let's see. Doug had a 113 pit stop, and Anderson had a 116. So it's very possible that he came out of him side by side in the pit lane.
Yeah, most definitely. That is probably what happened. But I mean, it's down to the driver's skill, but realistically, they're going to be right next to each other. And one big thing that could really make or break it is the setups, especially with our affiliates. Go setups, premium esports setups for everyone. Use our affiliate link on our Discord and take your drive to the next level. Because let's be honest, a good setup makes a good race. Like we got to be completely honest about it.
Oh, it's huge. I used to get my setups from one of the SRA esports drivers, because me and her raced together a couple times, and we had a really similar driver style, and I loved it. But she doesn't race a McLaren anymore, so I had to find somewhere else to get some setups, and Go Setups was the answer. Josh Dominani there, a little bit touchy on the brakes. He almost bumped the back of Arc there as they slowed up for Moffitt ahead. But this battle now heating up as well. Diamondani, of course, had a very, very rough start at the beginning of the race. He was down almost all the way at the bottom, so he's definitely had a great race, kept it clean through the middle section here. This is Art going on Moffitt down at the end of the back straight, and he is looking like he's going to make that move stick, but he goes to the outside a little bit farther. Big contact there between the two of them. Punts the 64 off tack, and through goes Damiani in the 777. Art going to go ahead and pull over, let the 64 back pass. He knew that was that bad, but the big winner here, Josh Damiani.
Whoa! Through goes Hamilton moment right there. If you couldn't tell, that's what I was trying to replicate. I totally wasn't ripping off Crofty, but you know.
We all strive to rip off Crofty because then we know we've made it, right? Brian Anderson, by the way, looking at Doug, not able to quite get it done, but they're going to have a run here down the straight. That is, let's see, how far is Doug from the back of that Beamer? Ford, sorry. A little bit farther than I thought. The Ford's just running away down the straight. And Doug does have the inside line there. Anderson not able to stick it in. He's
he's
going to
gonna
try
take it.
and make it, and it isn't able to quite get to the quarter panel. That's going to be Son back up to the top of the track through the right-hander. Doug's going to have a chance here in about, another 4 or 5 corners. This is not the spot you want to pass here at Suzuka or at Coda through these S's. We all know how dangerous that is. We've all made that mistake once or twice, especially here in the rain. But these guys just nose to tail. Brian Anderson all over the back of Douglas Mitchell as well. Don't forget that there's a third car in this fight. Even though they've caught Nick Son, there is 2 more cars directly behind him. Doug's watching the mirror and the windshield, and here they are coming back on the straight. The problem is, unless Doug can get the nose under him in the corner, and I don't think he's going to be able to. He's going to be forced to the outside. How do you catch a Mustang down the straight? Anderson. No? Okay. Anderson almost made that work, but Doug going for the big V out of the corner to get as much run as possible. It just ain't happening. Look at this Mustang. He's just gone. American power.
I mean, the
baby.
Mustang is pumping this huge, punching, as I would say, actually, the hole in the air that you'd think these McLarens would be able to pull up and catch with. But I gotta say, after the move that we just saw Doug try to make at turn 1, the balls on that guy might be weighing him down a little bit more.
Well, the chat wanted Doug, and they're getting Doug.
Yes, you people wanted Doug, you have got Doug, and I've had to put up with it. I've also had to put up with these two talking about American power this entire time.
Power!
How the heck this happened? I have no idea. I'm supposed to be the one making the jokes about releasing the Eagle. No idea how that happened. And
notably,
this time,
by the way,
I don't know.
Moffat
And I don't
did
have
make.
a Canadian to back me up this time.
Oh no, not the Canadians. We're not going to bring the Canadians into this too. Ark did make his way past Joel Moffat, by the way, so that is Ark promoted up into P13. Got that move done on this lap, and here we go. Back on over the straight again. Hang on. Power. Where's Son? There's Son. Let's see. Flash of the lights from Doug. Nick Son's just going, I can't see those lights anymore, though, bud. You're a little bit too far behind me. And he's going to go defensive still, though, into turn 1. Doug going to try and make a bit of a switchback, and it looks like he's able to get the nose under this time. Side by side, coming out of turn 1. Nick Son on the inside, though, for turn 2. Doug trying to make his way back on a little bit of a switchback, catch the apex a little harder, but not able to get it done. Now into the S-curves, and he's going to have to fall back one more time, but Doug is getting very, very racy, very, very quickly here. He knows that he's got the power on Son, and he's very worried about Brian Anderson coming past him just like this. He needs to get the move done on Son before Anderson makes good of him trying to pass Son and gets him a +1 as well. So you got to be careful, Doug, but he's so far making it work. He might be able to get past Son here if he can get another good run. That was a great run down into turn 1 of all places as well.
I don't know. That looked a lot like the last one. I think that he pretty much tried the same move. It looked like it was about the same as last one. We were just watching from a different angle. And if you're going to try that move again, Son knows it's coming. He can defend and he can figure out his breaking point. You become sort of predictable. So, I mean, if you can figure out a way to do it, I think that Doug needs to attack at a different turn in a different way. Find where that Mustang kind of can't hang on, which I would imagine is more in this technical area where we have all these, turns and not so many straights for him to get up to that power. But something else I just wanted to point out, Evan Kim, fastest lap of the race, and also has taken about 3 seconds out of Jared Troxclair.
Wow.
Beat me to it.
Coming from Jared Troxclair with the purple lap as they enter the pits. Let's see, what's that lap time, by the way? 2:13.695 from Jared Troxclair during the first stint. 2:13.225 for Evan Kim. That's that fuel leaving the car. And last lap for Jared, by the way, a 14 mid. 2 laps in a row, ran a 14.3, 14.4. He is not pushing. He is keeping it steady and keeping it ahead of Evan because he knows that's what he needs to do, is not wreck in the rain just like Evan did. So the question is, does he still have it in him here at the end of the race? If he needs to nail that throttle, can he and keep that distance? Because it is down to less than 7 seconds. And Norman Dow, notably, if you didn't catch, has also more or less joined this now 4-way fight. Oh, there's Doug. Goes down to the inside at the end of the straight there. The problem is they got to go around this right-hander here, but he's able to get the switch back. maybe not able to get the nose in, but Brian Anderson now underneath Doug as well, and they're going to come through the last sector of the first sector of corners here through the S's, and Brian's going to have to slot back behind, but now Normandale right on the back of Anderson as well. That second just disappeared as these guys are trying to run side by side through the first sector, and that's where you're going to lose a lot of time, and they did. This is why you got to run nose to tail through here. Now they've got more pressure from behind, and Nick Son has a little bit of a gap. That's 0.6 at the last timing sector with these guys. These guys got to be careful. They know that if they're racing side by side like that through a couple of these sectors, like you talked about, Alexa, how difficult it is when you first came in through sector 1 and sector 3. There it is, right there, right? Normandale might make a pass on Anderson.
That's literally the same move we saw 2 laps in a row. Same from Doug. Same defense from San. He's sticking it out. I'm telling you, 3 in a row isn't going to make it. 4 in a row isn't going to make it. You're just sort of giving him the ability to understand what's going on. He's not going to lose it at turn 1. He's not going to lose it through the S's unless, I don't know, maybe you get a little bit of shoulder to shoulder there or something. But I think that's the wrong move to try to just keep doing the same thing and maybe go for a drift to get some style points.
Let's see, Doug, what are you doing over here? What are we doing? Let's take the helmet cam, shall we? Let's see. Hey, comes around the corner, hits the curb a little bit, gets on the power, and then comes down to the other right-hander and just slides out. It looked like, as a McLaren driver, it looked like he tapped the brakes ever so slightly while he was still turning. I would almost guarantee that's what happened.
Guys, I just saw Smith. Have you guys just seen Twitch chat?
I wasn't looking. I wasn't looking. No, wasn't looking. Nope, I don't know if what?
Hey Sam, do you think he's a little bit jealous?
No. Every day I have heard that since like 7th grade. I just turned 33 a couple weeks ago, by the way. Since 7th grade, I've heard it. It doesn't bother me. It's just like
I'm older than you. That's funny.
Wait. Whoa. I'm only 18.
Yes, we know you're a baby, Alexa. It's fine.
You're double the age of me. You're nearly double the age of me.
Excuse you.
That's so cute.
Ian Wheeler, by the way, I want to point out, put in his fastest lap of the race last lap. We were just talking about the best laps being mid 13s from Troxclair, and then Evan Kim put in the 16.4. Ian Wheeler just put a 14.0 on that last lap, which was almost the fastest lap. Oh, no, there's a couple people doing 13s as their best lap, but that's the fastest lap out of the top 10 cars, except for Evan Kim. So Wheeler really putting down the hammer here. Maybe he found the proper balance of the tires for this Mustang, even though Son and McCroat and Damiani are having a bit of a struggle. Wheeler doing pretty good.
Yeah, well, Kim is... I'm just looking on the left-hand side. Kim is still closing up. One thing I am also going to point out, though, he crashed. He went into the barrier earlier and lost loads of time. And now he's catching.
12 seconds. He lost 12 seconds.
What is Kim on? And where do I buy it?
The thing is I had the theory that Jared was just kind of cruising, and maybe he is, but he just ran a 14.3. That's not a slow lap by any means, considering his fastest is a mid to high 13, right? He's got a 13.7. So he's not running that much slower. He's definitely picking up the pace. Kim has not gained more than a second and a half in about the past six minutes. So I think he's putting the hammer down a little bit, as we're still seeing Brian, Doug, and Nick battle. Oh, the three wide. Nick Son having to go to the middle, dive down to the bottom of the track before they come out of the last corner. Doug gets the move done, finally. Brian Anderson follows him through. That's Nick Son down to P7. Let's catch a replay of that. Alexa, take us through this. This was beautiful.
Yeah, so you just see it going into the corner. That is just the Ford makes a minor slip up, getting onto the curb a little bit too much. He's still there though. He's still there, but you see the McLarens right behind him. The British, they know how to do it. They're going to be lurking right in the background and like piranhas, taking any chance they can get. It's the Barbie and it's the black versus the good old American into the triple right-hander. This is where it comes into key, and the line that you take. The McLarens, you can see them right there, heading through the second and third apex. They just get the way better launch, and it's going to be the Barbie who will send it, look to send it around the outside, goes for the switchback. The Ford gets onto the curve, goes left a little bit. That gives McLaren a chance to slip through, but then the Ford has to back out. That gives the other McLaren an opportunity. Slip it alongside, send it around the outside, lick the stamp and send it. That's a lovely double overtake, and that's the Ford losing out on 2 positions. And I don't think
now here's the surprise.
Is going to reel him out from out there.
Back to live pictures. Brian Anderson,
he's
back behind Nick Son.
Oh, he's not in front of Doug. Okay.
No.
But he did make another move. Yeah, so actually when you see him go around 16, 17, 18, like I was saying, I had the trouble with yesterday. His tail just kicked out and he had to adjust. That's what allowed Doug to catch him suddenly right there and, like I was saying, make a move somewhere that wasn't, turn 1. But then with Son going so defensive on Doug, that's why he lost the place. Luckily, he got it back, I imagine, down the front straight there. But he is definitely getting tail out and a little tail happy.
Yeah, the Mustang getting to the end of that stint. He's now got about 20, 25 minutes. What lap did Nick... See, here's the problem. Most pit stops happened, I would say, average of lap 10 or 11. Nick Son was the one who early pitted because he had so much problems early on in the race, if you remember, Sam. He pitted on lap 6. He's got an extra 5 laps or so on the tires. The 2 cars around him pit on lap 14. He's got 8 laps on those tires for the cars around him. Norman Dow, by the way, pit on lap 10, so he's got a little bit of older tires as well, and he's not doing too bad keeping on the back of these guys, but Nick Son, I think he's struggling with these tires. He's going to have a rough 10 minutes.
One thing we haven't talked about yet is because this is in the rain and we're on wet tires and everything, if you don't really have tons of practice, you may not know just exactly how much fuel you really expend while you're doing this. And it can be tricky to get that fuel right, because if it gets a little, like, now that it's damp rather than wet.
Interrupt you here. That is Norman Doe versus Anderson into the S's, and that is going to be Norman Doe who makes a little bit of a slip up. And Anderson. It's all over the place between these two. They're going back and forth. And it's going to be one hell of a battle through the S's. However, the pink McLaren just about going to be staying ahead by the looks of it, a little bit of like on my end, as that is going to be a rear end slip for Anderson heading into the chicane. But that's going to be nice and clean for the time being. Sam, I'll hand it back over to you as a quick one. I think we could see a battle for the lead going into the final 2 laps. Kim is closing in that gap even more each lap.
Yeah, unfortunate for Anderson there, losing yet another place when he was fighting up with Doug and Son. We'll see if he keeps going there. But yeah, just to close out, fuel as the track changes from wet to damp and you drive a little bit harder, a little bit faster, etc. If you didn't calculate that right, you may end up starting a little bit of a lift and coast as we go into the last few laps. We might end up seeing that from Troxclair as the time goes down that far. That's what I was wondering about.
Yeah, but most definitely, that's one thing that we definitely have to look out for. As, like I said, it's coming down and down even closer. Honestly, Kim's just pushing it. One person who's also pushing it. Look who's arrived on scene. Doyle. This has gone from a 2-way car battle to possibly a 4-way car battle between all these guys. Because if anybody makes a minor mess up, that's going to throw them to the sharks. 7 minutes, 18 seconds remaining in this race. And just as I say that, White Scarver getting a drive-through penalty.
That's our first drive-through penalty. Yeah, first drive-through penalty. Austin White Scarver, that's going to be a game-assigned penalty. That means he likely got himself some track limits warnings. Brought 4 of them, if I would have to guess, considering he's got a drive-through. He'll have to serve that before the end of the race here, as he's nose to tail with Hartman right behind him. Definitely going to lose a few positions, as these guys are all still basically on the same lap, and we know this pit lane is about 75 seconds or so. That's a big, big drop. That might be a position for Fire Queso and Artem LeMay and Higgs, depending on where exactly he's going to dive in the pit lane now. Take his drive-through early, not defend against Hartman. I think that's the good call. Just dive into the pit lane, take it now while you got the car attacking you anyway, and we'll see where he sorts out. Evan Kim now within 2 seconds of the leader, Jared Troxclair. We're going to be circling the list here for probably a last lap battle. here in just a moment, as Alexa and Sam were just talking about, and these guys still fighting. That is a Draven Doyle pretty much right on the back of Brian Anderson at this point. Nick Son's got a little bit of a gap, but not too much. It looks like perhaps these McLarens now struggling a little bit on their tires. We know Brian Anderson really struggled towards the end of his first stint. Doug did very well, and Doug, well, he is doing very well. This is Doug. That's a big old gap back to Son at this point, almost a couple seconds. And Brian Anderson definitely showing that struggle again here at the end of the second stint. Norman Dow did the early pit because he had issues, question mark. We don't really know. Maybe got those fixed, of course, on the damp track rather than the wet track now. The tire pressures will continue to come up. That could also come into play if the track tricks over to greasy. I don't think it will. It is still sprinkling, but that damp track is a huge difference, and maybe that's why Nick Son has found some grip.
Well, you know what this ending of the leaders gets me, allows me to do is use my favorite trope in racing that I like to say every race is, it is one thing to catch, it's another thing to pass. So, 5 minutes left. Evan Kim is knocking down those seconds. Will he actually be able to make it around?
This is how it looks coming out of the last corner, though, Alexa.
By such an American phrase, if I've ever heard it.
I'm pretty sure it's a British or someone in the UK announcer saying it.
What are we blaming an American phrase on now?
It is British, however, yes, it is British. However, it is said by Will Buxton.
Oh, I'm going to interrupt you here. Norman Dow is going to go for the move here onto Nick Son. Nick Son got a bad run coming out of the final corner. Norman Dow looking for P5. Son. Oh, yeah, that'd be P6. The timing screen hasn't quite updated. He's going to get it done. Brian Anderson taking a peek on Son as well. Not able to get the nose down under, but he's still looking very racy behind him. He wants to follow Norman Dow through. He knows that's the competition. Son is not able to keep up the pace with these guys towards the end of the stint. Loke still side by side. Son through here all the way through the corners. That's Doyle now arrived on the scene, of course, because why? They're going side by side through the S's. We saw this with Anderson Doug earlier. Doyle gets the contact. That's contact under Anderson.
Sanderson off.
We're going to come back to that in just a second. Normandale does finally get the move fully finished. Son dropping behind. This is P6 for Normandale. Going back to Doyle. Doyle still spun off the track here. Brian Anderson has continued going, but that is Selena? Was that Selena out ahead? No. That was Ivan McCrow. Osborne, oh, that's Osborne out ahead now, so they lost a lot of time. Osborne was quite far behind them. Brian Anderson all the way to P12, and that is Osborne, Damiani, Anastasi in front. Doyle still behind him. Now the question is, does Brian think it was his fault? Does he drop back for Doyle? We don't know. We're going to see about that in a minute as he has arrived. Coming into Sector 3, Evan Kim's in the Badmans now on the back of Jared Troxclair for 2 laps remaining as they're going to come across the line. This has been the battle we've been watching all race. Troxclair got the better pit stop. He pitted a couple laps early. He came back out in front with a great outlap. Kim has now arrived to the back of the 222. Is he out of fuel? Is he having problems with tire pressures? What happened that he's lost 12 seconds in 27 minutes? He's still losing time. Evan really looks like he is quicker than Troxclair. 14.030 for him, 14.892 for Troxclair as they start the second to last lap, the penultimate run around Coda here, round 7 of the GT3 Season 11 Team Series. All over the back of him. What's going to happen? We've got about 2.5 minutes to find out, Sam.
Hot, wet tires, not much spray. I can't believe these guys are still putting in qualifying lap times and fighting like this.
It's insane. These aliens like this, and this is Division 2, keep in mind. These aren't even Division 1 esports like drivers, right? These are Division 2 guys, and they are 58 minutes into this race. Sweaty race. It has been just a nightmare for all these guys. Nose to tail, nose to tail, nose to tail, and they're still bringing it home all the way, trying to make as little mistakes as possible and making it done. Evan Kim all over the back of Jared. He knows he's just got to wait for a mistake, but can he wait is the problem. There is 2 minutes past. That means that no matter what happens, even if they cross the line right now, that would be the last lap. So halfway through this lap, coming out of the back straight, Evan Kim trying to go for a little bit of a switchback. He's going to get deep into the slipstream here and try and get past him down into turn number 12, but it doesn't look like he's got enough for it this lap. Not quite enough of a run coming out Jared Troxler able to get the throttle down. This is what we saw earlier with Doug and Brian. Brian just able to get the throttle down out ahead consistently with Doug. He was able to stay out in front for multiple laps. Evan struggling a little bit, getting onto the power perhaps in comparison to Troxler, even though he's faster, hasn't been able to get the move done. They're going to come down through Sector 3 now, and this is where the setup has happened for multiple drivers, getting a pass done in Sector 1, especially through that first couple of corners. Do we think Evan's going to be able to? Well, we're going to find out as they're coming into the sweeping right-hander. 3 turns left. Well, I'm going to count this as 3 turns. 5 turns left, and then on to the final lap. The pit window has officially closed. All cars have made their pit stop. 6 seconds back to Wheeler. These guys have plenty of space. By the way, checking back quickly on that battle as we start the last lap, Matt Anastasi back in P10, still fighting Damiani, and Normandow is stuck behind Douglas Mitchell, but there's a gap everywhere. This is the race for the end. No matter what happens, 2 tenths to them as they cross the line.
I gotta say, I don't think I see tire problems for any of those two, so I'm not really sure what was causing slowdown, but they both seem to have a lot of grip where I wouldn't expect it.
Well, either way that you look at it, it's definitely one to look out for. 20 seconds remain on the clock. This is the final lap. And I haven't said it yet, so I'll give you it. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing for the final lap of the circuit of the Americas Grand Prix. It is Troxler versus Kim, the 222 McLaren versus the 29 McLaren. The battle for the race win. It is Kim who has been closing in for the final past 20 minutes as we're going to look to Damiani.
Oh, there's yellow in front of them.
Yellow in front of
It's going to be quite an interesting one. There is yellow up at the top as well, actually.
There was yellow in front of the leaders.
Luckily, it's between me. Luckily, nothing between these two. Right, it's not going to affect them too much. Heading down into the hairpin. This is probably one of the places where you can set up a move. Or if you could give a slipstream, and it is going to be Kim. He's going to try and look through around the outside into the hairpin. He's going to have to leave.
He's got the nose. He's got the nose.
Top player. He's going to have to leave it up through and down the back straight. He's trying to get in there for the slipstream. Maybe looking for it to go down the inside. And the edge. Sector 3 is going to be the final places to get it. Heading right now though, wheel to wheel, side by side. Maybe look for a move. Heading into the braking zone. It's going to be Troxler who will go a little bit deep. And Kim looking for it.
He's done.
And it's going to be Kim who takes the lead on the circuit of the Americas Grand Prix on the final lap. Down the inside with the switchback. You cannot write this in fiction, ladies and gentlemen. This has been one hell of a battle. You wait for it, you take your moment, and as long as Kim can keep it clean, this is going to be one hell of a celebration for the Badmins. Bring the triple right-hander down to turn 19 and 20. Keep it clean with the Badmins rear wing. But as he's going to come into it, round the final corner, looking inside the cockpit, and it is going to be unlucky for Troxler, who led the majority. It will be Kim who will go to the line and win the circuit of the Americas Grand Prix. Troxler comes on P2, Wheeler P3, and I need to stop because I've got a lump in my throat.
John Archie for the GRR Kit Kat Cartel gonna bring it home in P4. Great race for the GRR team today. John Archie really just doing good to keep it clean, keep it consistent. Comes home in P4. Speaking of the Badmins, here's Douglas Mitchell, ladies and gentlemen, for the silver class win and the double win for the Badmins. That is a fantastic run by both of them today. Normandow coming home in P6 after a great run through Doug, Son, and Damiani. Comes home P2 in that battle, P6 overall. Nick Son in the pit lane already, finishing P7. Damiani sliding across turn 1 as he comes across the line, does a little celebration in his Champion Motorsports 777. And here is even Ivan McCroat right next to him. Team close enough? Well, he's getting about close enough to Damiani there. P9 kiss. And kiss. Matt Anastasi, P10. Brian Anderson, P11. Jess Osborne, P2 for the silver class, P12 overall. Great race by the Comic Racing team. Speaking of which, the other half of the Comic Racing team, I'm curious what Selena thinks of Coda. She came home in P16, which is P6 for the silver class. Draven Doyle, by the way, we were watching him quite a bit, gaining on those guys, did come home in P12. Arcton Smith, of course, that battle finally did sort out P13, P14, and that was one heck, I think. But y'all are coming on a journey with me because I need to see this again.
Well, I need to see the yellow in front of them because if you go back far enough,
let's find the yellow first.
That didn't close things down.
I think it was this car pulled off. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, he spun. He did spin. But this was Artem. He was rejoining. Let's see. Where did the lead just go? Oh yeah, the lead has already passed. They passed him when he spun. Troxclair. Alexa.
Well, that doesn't mean that it didn't make them a little bit worried he was going to come back on, but yeah.
Let's watch this again. All right, Alexa. Where's Alexa?
Hi.
Hi, Alexa. What happened? Tell me. Hang on, let's go back to Kim.
Kim won.
Kim won.
What happened.
Here's the replay of the pass. Take me through it.
So heading down the back straight, he's making me do it again. I'm not going to go crazy this time because I don't want to wake up my parents, because I probably already have. But you see Kim here, just getting in the slipstream, he takes that advantage, and that's going to be the key moment. You're on the wet tyres, you're going to go onto the wet line as it's damp. The dry line will be forming up, moves over the right-hand side, but on the dry line, that will help the break in. Goes deep is Troxclair, and then it will be Kim who takes advantage. Goes into the space with a lovely switch back on the exit. And that is a lovely move up into P1 for the race win, and in the final sector nonetheless. And all he has to do here is keep it nice and clean and keep Troxclair behind. So as long as he just takes the racing line, he's got that absolutely perfect. And I should be on that, but I'm not.
Yeah, I don't care who you are. If you have someone following you that close for that long, and even seeing them close you down if you had a nice big gap, it's going to get on your nerves. And yeah, you just sort of end up doing one mistake, just going a little bit deep, one turn on the last lap, and then it kind of bites you in the butt. But it's going to happen, and you'll have a chance the next time.
I need to fetch me a Troxclair and a Kim. Where are they at? I saw Kim. There's Kim. Hang on, I'm muting him. Kip. Evan Kim. Evan Kim is here. Hang on, I'm gonna mute Jared. You're muted, Evan, and you can't suck yet. And there's Jared Troxclair. I'm going to interrupt whatever the hell you guys were talking about because I don't care. I need to know what happened. You guys, that was a fantastic end of the race. Evan, take me through your win there, bud. Are you here?
Yeah, I was hanging tough with Jared for that first stint. Good battling. We had a really good first stint together, and then I actually blew my pit stall by a little bit and came out behind. I think I got a little overzealous on my outlap and spun the car into the wall. I don't know if you guys caught that.
Unfortunately, we did.
Well, at that point, I was honestly just fighting for P2, seeing where I would go after the pit cycle. And, lap by lap, I realized I might still have a chance. I was trying to do the mental math with Jared's laps, and thankfully he got there at the end and had a set one on him. I knew that was probably the last chance, and thankfully it worked out. But yeah, really good racing with Jared. That was one of the more fun races I've had.
So Jared, having listened to that, what was happening from your perspective? Where was your mind at? Because that was crazy. If you're with us.
Well, I also blew my pit stop. Or my pit stall.
I want to really quick, by the way, both of you had the same exact pit stop time. Kim, you were 1/1000th of a second slower.
Wow.
Just so you guys know.
I also thought I was going to get left in the dust. That wasn't the case, but yeah, that second stand, I just didn't have any left. Honestly, it felt like I was running on used wets. But all I can do is pray and select the only wet tire you can. But yeah, no, Evan was just light speed. I just kept losing speed. Tires were a tad hot, but not enough to, make the drastic difference in lap times at the end.
Well, either way, that was some absolutely fantastic racing from you guys. I mean, Jared, that was basically, you had 62 minutes or so of just looking at your mirror defending, and I've been in that situation, not often, I'm usually not ahead of people, but often enough that I know how exhausting that is, and for you to be struggling with the car that late, a great job with the defense, and Evan, great job with the attacking all the way to the end.
Yeah, thanks, that was a lot of fun. Yeah, that whole first stint, I was trying to, show my headlights, and Jared he was right on top of every single corner. I could not find a way to get by him. And all the way till the end there, that was really good racing.
There was one moment in that first stint where we got really close going up in the big red, and I made a very late defensive move luckily, Evan, you went the opposite direction of me, and so we didn't crash. Because whenever I veered off to the right, you went to the left. I was thanking God, because if you'd gone the same way, I didn't.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, the last thing I wanted to do was, you know, end battle.
No, that was fun stuff.
Something to note for you too, you were pretty constantly right around the top of the lap times for qualifying during the race, and you actually did a couple better ones. So as much as you're battling that close and, you know, in the rain and tires going or whatever, you guys were still setting lap times that a lot of us would hope to just be able to get to at some point.
in the dry. Get to in the dry is what he means. You know.
Well, I got to give a lot of credit to Dan Cran for sending me a setup from McLaren tonight. He did me a real solid there. The car felt absolutely incredible. I was just telling him that's probably the best setup I've had in the wet, I think, ever in SRA. But usually I struggle in the wet. Tonight the car was just money.
Evan, as a last thing, anyone you want to shout out other than your setup provider for the stream?
Yeah, absolutely. Shouting out Doug.
Yeah, we're gonna talk to him in a minute. He's not done.
He's hanging in there for the silver championship. I wasn't really paying attention to his race, but it seemed like he ended up pretty good. So I'm rooting for him for this last race that we have coming up. And yeah, big shout out to Doug for sticking with me for my whole time here in SRA.
Yeah, of course, P1 for the silver class today, Douglas Mitchell. P2 was Jess Osborne. So we'll talk to them momentarily. Evan, plan for next week? Drive fast?
Yep. Show up and drive.
How do you feel about Watkins Glen? 1 to 10.
It's got to be up there. I put it up there like an 8 or a 9. Not my top 1 track, but it's definitely in the mix for sure.
Evan, Jared, same question.
I'm gonna have to give Watkins Glen a fat 3.
Ooh.
For some reason, I can't drive that for the life of me. So I was kind of hoping I'd win this race, so I had a nice point buffer going into the final one, so I could not have to go balls to the walls.
I think luckily for you, you will, as Queso just started from the pit lane and Vicini not here today, and that's P2 and P3 for the overall championship. So I think you're going to be in a great position.
Once it gets finalized is how it will dictate how much practice I put in. Because I don't know, something with Watkins Glen, me and it don't click.
Because it's American.
Alexa, I'm going to mute you. Here's the thing. Just yeet the bus stop, and that's half your lap time, right?
I yeet the bus stop. Don't get me wrong. That's the part I'm good at, and I enjoy the most. It's everything else. Like turn 1 is the bane of my existence. I got a tungsten foot. It's not even a lead foot.
I feel you. Coming out of the left-hander, just entering the last section, I can't know what corner that is. It's like the third to last corner. My kryptonite. I understand, man. So you always got that one. Anyway, Jared Troxclair, Evan Kim, ladies and gentlemen, P1, P2 for the pro class, and a hell of a race from Evan Kim coming all the way 12 seconds back after a spin, coming out on his out lap after the pit stop, bringing it all the way back and making a move at the last second, at the last lap, and bringing home P1. Evan, congratulations. Jared, one hell of a fight today. Congratulations on P2, and good luck next week, boys.
Yeah, thanks for the stream, guys.
All right, I need a Douglas Mitchell. I've muted him. Douglas Mitchell. I don't care what you were talking about. You're going to tell me about this race, dude. What happened?
What didn't happen? There were battles all up and down the grid, and needless to say, I was not expecting to qualify where I did, and I did not expect to have any pace today, so I was pretty stoked to be in the mix.
I mean, dude, it was a great battle all race long. You guys had, I think at one point there was 6 cars stacked up, like after the initial set, but you guys were in a 3 to 4 way battle almost this entire race, and Anderson and you had one heck of a fight. I didn't know if you were going to be able to get past him, but you made it. What was going through your head during that entire, 30 minutes?
Well, my main concern was keeping Brian Anderson behind me and then keeping Nick Sand within the tow because his Mustang was just ridiculous on the straights. So I knew that was his strength, but in Sector 3, he was just super slippery. So I just had to line him up, and the timing wasn't working out. I was too close going into the final corner a couple times, and I was like, I need to give him a couple tenths, and then I can get a good run up on him and do like a little over-under. And I made it stick. Felt freaking awesome.
Alexa had an absolute field day with that move. I can tell you that, and it was a great run all the way up through Nixon. He was definitely struggling the entire race. We were also noting he pit 6 laps earlier, and I'm sitting there counting down the minutes. All right.
I was surprised to see him where he came out in front of me. I was flabbergasted because I actually my tires were actually in a pretty good spot for the first stint. I'm sure a lot of people are struggling with overpressured tires, so I was able to build some pace against the leaders, which helped get me back in the mix for the second stint. But he came out ahead of me. I was like, whoa, he made some quick pace back up. So, but it was exciting. It was really good racing.
It really was. So we were just talking to your teammate, who, of course, Evan Kim, took P1 overall today, double P1s for the Badmins here at the penultimate round of the Season 11 Championship. And he was saying that he had really struggled in the rain. He was not happy with it at all, and then he got a setup last minute and felt really stable. So you were not having tire issues, which is usually what the McLaren does in the rain. Were you feeling good?
No, the setup was dialed, actually. Shout out to Dan Cran and Dom Duran for the setup. But the setup was really nice. Basically, full admission here, Evan and I just didn't practice at all. So we showed up to the race, and we both did like a couple laps in the practice session and just didn't feel good. But Evan's a really talented driver. So, I mean, once he gets in the mix and kind of settles down and starts to dial it in, he's super quick, and I think he got fastest lap today too. So once he dialed in, he was just making up whole chunks of time on the guys, so it was fun. As for me, I think I just got lucky with everyone else kind of battling around me and slowing each other down. If it was just a heads-up race, I would have never been able to keep up with them, but it all kind of worked out.
So your overtake was popping up on my replays as this was happening. I was trying to dance around and find it, but it looks like that there's something wrong with the highlight stream. Apologies to you guys. It's glitching a little bit. I'm gonna kill the highlights. But yeah, it was a great run. So Dan Cran, another shout out with the setup. So Dan seems to be the setup master for the rain. You all know who to go to now. Please don't bombard me. I don't know who Dan is. I'm not calling him out like that. I'm sorry, Dan.
In his DMs, he is the head steward. If you want to pester him, you have my blessing. Sorry.
You've got Doug's blessing. All right. Doug, you heard from Doug, ladies and gentlemen. Doug, anyone else you want to shout out for the stream here after a win?
No, I just want to thank y'all for always coming in week out, doing a good show, and thanks to the community. It's always fun to be a part and race amongst everybody. So thanks for everybody.
Alexa, Sam, do either of you want to make fun? Ask questions of Doug?
I mean,
I've been told, Doug, I want you to know that I was told when I started commentating that I was required to make fun of Doug at least once a stream.
It seems to be a mandate from somebody. I don't know.
Okay, wait.
I'm on board for it.
I got this one. Doug, question for you. What's your favorite color?
No, don't answer.
It depends on what kind of mood I'm in. Generally speaking, blue is a pretty solid color. But
is that because it's mainly the color on? Honestly, I thought it would have been pink considering he drives a Barbie car.
No, I got the Barbie car livery from Mia Rose, which is again a top tier livery, and this season's theme being movies. Obviously, Barbie was a summer blockbuster hit, so it looked so good I had to have a piece of it. So Jeff and Mia were generous enough to share, but I am fond of pink, and I'm going to be needing to be even more fond of it here in the near future because your boy's having a baby girl at the end of the year, so lots of fun stuff coming up.
Big stream drops.
Totally.
Pass that around, chat. Congratulations, Doug. Sam, I think you had a real question, Sam. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, if you listen back to the stream, I don't know if it was super subtle or not, but I did kind of make fun of Doug for doing the same move 3 laps in a row at turn 1 and not making it work. But I'm glad you pulled out what I thought.
That Mustang's got so much low-end torque, it just gets right out of the dig, and it would always just take a little bit of more gap than I had in the McLaren. So, plus I'm also probably one of the worst drivers at any hairpins ever, so if there's a coach out there that wants to give me some feedback, let me know. But other than that, yeah, I mean, kudos to Nick and Brian. We were able to have really good racing in the wet around a really tough track. So that's a testament to the community that we built here.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Douglas Mitchell, P1 in the silver class here for the penultimate round of the Season 11 championship here at SRA, and currently holding P1 of the points. He'll be going in the last round looking at Watkins Glen. Ooh, Doug, I got one more question. 1 to 10.
Yeah.
How's Watkins Glen for you?
I freaking love Watkins Glen. Let's go bowling.
10.
However,
I heard 10.
Yeah, 10. 10 out of 10. I love Watkins. However, every admin in SRA has had the big one. Okay. And mine was at Watkins. So I have some redemption arc to fulfill here. I killed the entire grid.
You really had the big one.
God. Yeah, up the fences in the S's of Sector 1, rounding turn 1,
oh, dude,
side by side.
So easy.
I touched a curb. I was trying to be too generous to the driver next to me. My Ferrari 296 goofy suspension bent me out into the track sideways. I killed him every time. It was a disaster. So, redemption for next week.
Well, that is the highest rating we've heard Watkins Glen Glit today, and we had some pretty rave reviews from your teammate, and not so much from Jared Troxclair. So we'll see how this shakes out next week. Douglas Mitchell, congratulations on the P1 today, and good luck next week.
Thanks for having me.
Well, once again, Sam, we had 1 hour of wall-to-wall action-packed racing that we didn't get to take a breath for. And before we go, though, Alexa is going to I'm going to spring this on you. I'm sorry. Alexa's going to have a chat about our sponsors that help us make all of this possible here at SRA. She already shouted out Go Setups earlier, of course, the premier setup. Everybody knows Go Setups. Go use our affiliate link. You can get some setups for yourself. Come out here, and Dan Cran should submit his setups for Go Setups. Easy.
Yes,
I'm helping.
Exactly. You're helping. Thank you. I already knew this was coming up. I was going to do it, actually. I already have it up on my phone. So, ladies and gentlemen, of course, we can't do this without our sponsors. So, a big thank you to our SRA sponsors and title sponsors for supporting us here at SRA, as well as support from Documise and Modern Business Solutions for product management. Go to documise.com to learn more today, and support from Retro Saga, a North American-based gaming company that provides accessories for your favorite classic systems, including Nintendo, Sega, PlayStation, and more. Enhance your retro gaming experience today at retrosaga.ca. And a big thank you to our affiliates. First of all, Track Racer. Experience refined gaming with Track Racer's high-quality sim rigs and accessories. Use code SRETE at checkout to support us, with SRA being in capitals. As well as Aramaterio, toolbox for ACC that will enhance your chance to win. Enjoy a fully customizable and enhanced heads-up display to change the way that you experience ACC. As well as AT3D Sim Shop. Upgrade your sim racing experience with premium 3D printed accessories, precision crafted magnetic shifters, slate cable management solutions, versatile stream deck mounts, and immersive dashboard displays. Their innovative designs enhance performance and style, elevate every lap with top tier quality and craftsmanship at AT3D.net. Go Setups premium esports sales for everyone. Use our affiliate link on our Discord and take your drive to the next level. And finally, from Castle and Cauldron, a home-based crafting and business specializing in handmade Harry Potter, Fantastic Beasts, and Fairy World collectibles, magic wands, potions, mini dioramas, wall decor, customary, cosplay, and much more. Castle and Cauldron is where crafting meets the magical. Visit facebook.com/Castle Cauldron.
Well, that has been about 2 hours worth of some of the most exciting racing I have had over here for the last little while, and that's coming off the Nordschleife last week, which put on one hell of a show. I have been Mike Jones, broadcasting and bringing you commentary here today at the Sim Racing Alliance. Joining with me, of course, Sam Raworth and Alexa Marshall. I know her picture isn't on the screen. I apologize. She came in late because the D3 stream died, so she came to join us in the box over here instead. I believe probably Sam and likely Alexa will be with you next week. I'm not sure who else will be with them, as I will be traveling across the country next Wednesday. But I will definitely be checking in on the finale here, because Watkins Glen is fitting to be one hell of a race, both on the track and in the standings, as we're going to see a lot of point shakeups from the last two races going into the final. For everybody here at Sim Racing Alliance, come join the Discord, !Discord in the chat. I'm sure somebody will pop that in there really quick and make sure that we can get you guys in here racing with us next season. Of course, the last round next week. That means a new season coming right up. Come on in, join the Discord, sign up on the website, and get racing with us for next season. Have a great night.